Hey everybody, I'm Dr. Jamie.
I'm Stephanie.
And we're with New Journey Chiropractic. We wanted to just take a moment to thank you for attending our Raising Healthy Families workshop today. So we're going to get started here in a minute. Hopefully you can see our presentation slide. We are just super excited to be able to teach people about health and wellness here in the community of Ormond Beach. I'm going to go a little bit into who we are, what we do, and then we will get started.
Some of you guys know us, some of you are brand new to us. So we just want to take a few minutes to introduce ourselves, who we are, what we do, and how we can help you and your family.
So our chiropractic team right now is Stephanie, myself, and my husband Blake, who is in massage school at the moment. And we will be adding him to our practice in the next couple of months. So we're super excited to be able to just be able to teach health and wellness. Our journey started over 13 years ago with our family and chiropractic care. But New Journey Chiropractic has been here as a practice for the last 6.5 years. So, one of our biggest missions and our biggest passions is to educate and teach people about health, about wellness. We hope that you are empowered today to do something for your families. Guys, what we've learned over time is it doesn't take big lifestyle changes initially. What it does is it takes small things, and then those small things over time go into bigger things.
1% level ups make a huge impact. If you made a 1% improvement every single day for a year, you would have 365% improvement in just 1 year. That's huge. So we like to talk about this in small steps that you can take that are easily digestible for you and your family. And that's part of what inspired Dr. Jamie to create this workshop, and we love sharing it. We've shared it several times now. So we're just doing it now in a slightly different way. So we really hope you guys get a lot out of this. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. You might want to take notes. And we're going to go ahead and get into it.
Awesome. So here we go. Let's get on screen. And so, just a couple of key points at this workshop. We hope you can discover the top chronic health conditions that affect our U.S. Kids today. We hope you learn the top disease causing toxins and how your child might be exposed to them, and find out what nutrients are critical for your child's development and ways to get your child to eat them, because we all know that it's fun to get that to happen as well. You want to go over this one, or you want me to take it?
Yeah. So, kids with adult conditions. The American Academy of Pediatrics has issued new guidelines for lipid screenings and cholesterol management in children, y'all, in kids. This includes drug interventions as early as 8 years old. Our babies are being diagnosed with conditions they should not have. And this is something that's been really concerning to us as parents, because we know that right now we're facing an obesity crisis. It's no secret, but the age of diagnosis has dropped considerably in just the last few years. I think this is really something that's concerning a lot of parents that we see.
Yeah. And, when we start talking about early intervention, like, we're giving medications to children. Like, think about that, guys. A cholesterol medication starting at the age as young as 8. Like, what are we doing? We need to start stepping in and intervening sooner rather than later, in my opinion. But it starts with education, right? If we can start educating and empowering parents to empower their kids, trust me, it's not easy in the beginning, but you start those healthy foundations earlier, and I think it'll lead to success in the future. So, kids are starting to live with adult conditions. There were, unfortunately, 200 kids that were autopsied after being involved in fatality or fatal accidents. 10% of the children that were observed were the ages of 2 to 15. They had plaquing in their coronary arteries. 35% of these kids were ages 16 to 20. They had hard plaquing, and over 70% had plaquing in their mid to mid-20s. So these are things that we would see in an adult, like adult in their late 50s, 60s, 70s, when you start talking about coronary artery disease and how it's impacting our elderly population. Now we're starting to see that in our younger populations as well. We're starting to see more health crisis for our children, and so when we start looking at their future, we can look at just different things that they're being affected with. So 1 in 6 children are diagnosed with a developmental disorder. Autism rates have just skyrocketed over the last 10, 15 years. So autism rate is 1 in 68 boys. In 2023, the CDC reported that approximately 1 in 36 children in the United States were diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And according to 2020 data, boys were 4 times more likely to be diagnosed with autism than girls. And if you think about it, I'm in my 40s. I didn't hear about autism, I would say, until I was probably in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't really diagnosed. And now we're getting more and more kids getting the diagnosis. And more kids that are being affected by it.
30 and 40 years ago, autism wasn't something that we dealt with on the regular. I remember as a kid meeting a child who came to our farm area from the city, and he was considered hyperactive. Today, he would probably be labeled as autistic. He would probably be labeled as ADHD. And the only thing they told his host family for the summer was just don't give him a lot of sugar. He does really well when he doesn't eat a lot of sugar.
And think about our diets these days.
Yeah.
It's all laced with sugar.
Laced with sugar. So I think that the standard American diet, the SAD diet, plays a big role in some of these. I mean, obviously the obesity problem is diet related. We're just eating a lot of foods that aren't healthy for us, and our food should be nourishing us, not killing us.
No, exactly. I mean, it's something that we're seeing more and more frequently over time. I mean, I think it's something that is becoming more of an epidemic than what it was 20 and 30 years ago. We'll dive into that in a little bit just because we have some information on that. But guys, like we're here for you. If you have questions after watching this webinar, please shoot us a message, but we're going to keep going here. So you guys can read the screen, but it just states that 1 in 408 children will be diagnosed with cancer by the time they're 15. 1 in 285 children will be diagnosed by the time they're 20. So look at that just 5-year gap. It's increasing. The frequency of autoimmune diseases in children are higher than ever in the history of medicine. And the unfortunate thing is the life expectancy in the US population has decreased for the 2nd year in a row. And guys, it's not getting better. It's actually steadily declining. But there's good news. Like we're here to tell you, like it's this, like
we're not doomsdayers. I promise.
We have to start off with some of the important statistics and then give you some things to look for in the future. So raising healthy kids also means healthy adults. So if you're the head of the household and you get to make the decisions, then you're now helping inspire your children's. So your children, not children's, your kids. So children are great imitators. So give them something to be great at imitating. You know, one of the things that I love about being in practice is watching little kids watch their parents get adjusted. And so a lot of times I get into the adjusting bay and I see the kids pretending to adjust. I see them helping their parents. And guys, think about they're watching everything that you do, the way that you react to situations, what you're eating, what you're doing. Like they're just imitating everything. So if you can give them a great example, then you're setting them up for success. So
the good, the bad, and the ugly. They see it all and they're going to recreate it all.
Yep.
So, you know, be the inspiration that you want, be the change you want to see, because they're the ones that are going to make those changes.
Yep. So we're going to dive a little bit into genetics. Everybody wants to blame everything on genetics. So because my dad had heart disease, I'm going to have heart disease. So I'm going to give it to my kids. while there is some truth in that, what we have learned is it's not all about genetics. You guys, your genes are not your destiny. It takes about only 100% of your responsibility for your life, and then 70 to 90, that's where 70 of your 90, 70 to 90 of your percent of your health problems come from. So what that means is just because dad had high cholesterol or diabetes or coronary artery disease, whatever it may be, that does not mean that you're doomed to get that. What that means is that you have the capabilities of turning on and turning off these genes that are expressing those disease processes. Lifestyle and environment are going to be the biggest thing of where our health problems come from. So there was a study that was done back in the 1990s, and researchers were beginning to find that harmful chemicals, stress, and nutrition can permanently alter or damage genes. And whichever genes that are being expressed, they can be turned on and turned off. And so there was an article, or there was a research study done by Dr. Dean Ornish. He found that our lifestyle could turn on or turn off more than 500 genes that affect your health. So that means that we can change whether or not we turn on or turn off that gene based on the choices that we make. And these epigenetic changes are passed down and can cause disease in future generations. So what you're exposed to now and the choices that you make can affect your family tree. So it's affecting your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids, and they're going to be highly affected by the environment that you're exposing your body to. So again, just remember, like, you can't fix and solve every world problem or what you're exposed to, but you can turn on and turn off things. And the way that you do that is by taking healthier lifestyle changes. So eating healthier, minimizing toxins that you're exposed to. So whether that's the laundry detergent that you use, the
even the soaps and the cleansers that you use and put on your body. Think about all the things that your body absorbs. So you wear your clothes. So if you've washed your clothes in highly chemical detergents, what you're washing your skin with is a highly chemical detergent. And the food that you're eating, not only it's what's in you, but what's on you. So everything around you affects your genetic makeup. And epigenetics are like, think of nurture versus nature. You can't change the past. You can rewrite your future.
Exactly. One of the things that we did a long time ago was, like, the first thing that we committed to was getting rid of plastics in our lifestyle. And, like, guys, we can take you down lots of different pathways, but one of the biggest changes that we made was to make sure that all of our food goes into glass and then we reheat in glass. So that was a lifestyle choice that we made over 10 years ago. We also made the choice of eating healthier foods. So eating more organic foods, eating more like real foods, not processed foods. Yeah. So we can go over that in a little bit. But again, like, I want to empower you. I don't want you to look at this slide and be like, oh my God, I'm doomed. You're not. You guys can take action steps today to help improve your family. Because remember, one simple change that you make today, you're impacting those future generations. We're going to talk a little bit about the immune system. So when we start talking about the immune system disorders in children, people always think it's like just a chronic cough or a sneeze. But when we really start looking at the immune system, it's talking about type 1 diabetes, asthma, allergies, hay fever, dermatitis, eczema, food allergies, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, cancer. Like, guys, we know that these processes and diseases are common, but they're not normal. And so if your immune system doesn't develop correctly in the beginning, then these are some of the issues that can develop. And what we're seeing is that we're destroying the overall microbiome. And one of the ways that we're doing this is through cesarean sections. We're introducing antibiotics in the first 3 years of life, and then the food. So food, when we're not eating real food or unprocessed foods, we're creating problems.
Ultra processed food is It is the highest convenience, but unfortunately, it is the worst nutritional decision you can make. And I get it. I was a single mom raising two kids, and I had to make some choices. But as I have said probably a billion times before, when you know better, you do better. So, going to the drive through McDonald's is okay once in a while, but it shouldn't be a staple daily, or it's just going to create more problems than it solves. So, and we're not here to shame anybody. Like, you've made decisions, and that's totally fine. We just want to help you understand little changes along the way do create big results later on down the road.
Yeah, and I want to kind of go over each one of these topics too. So, a lot of people ask me, how does a C-section cause the microbiome to be destroyed? Well, when we think about a vaginal delivery, what's happening is that baby's going through the birth canal and they're getting something called a pre or a probiotic gulp. So, they're getting the natural flora from mom as they're being born or as they're being introduced to this world. And when that happens, they're getting that natural flora that helps start the immune process in their gut. When we start looking at antibiotics, especially in the first years of life, that's going to not only impact how that immune system and microbiome is developing in the gut, but it's going to affect how their immune system responds to things in the future. If moms use antibiotics during their pregnancy, or let's say that mom is breastfeeding, that's going to go through that breast milk into that baby and it's going to be passed down. If you give antibiotics to a child, that's obviously affecting their gut. Think about the foods that you're eating. A lot of people don't know that conventional meats and dairy and cheeses, and I don't think that they give antibiotics to our vegetables, but do you know what I mean? Like, we're spraying our foods with chemicals. So there's just lots of things that we're doing that are disrupting our natural microbiome. But when we start talking about conventional raised meats, we're injecting them with antibiotics because we're raising them in inflammatory conditions. So they're sick. They're getting the antibiotics. They're passing it on to us. Think about where we were just 4 years ago and where we're at now. Hand sanitizers. We are using that like crazy. Like, I'm not saying that you can't use hand sanitizer, but I think that we've become overcautious with things. We're using antibiotics unnecessarily. We're giving it to basically every little cough, sneeze, cold, anything that's really going on.
Every time you take an antibiotic, it takes months to rebuild the microbiome. So each round damages that immune system a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. So I always educate parents, like, if you're prescribed an antibiotic, obviously there is a time and a place for everything. Guys, please don't get off this webinar and being like, oh, Dr. Jamie says don't take an antibiotic. That's not what I'm saying. But I want you to do your homework when it comes to antibiotics and make sure that it's 100% necessary for your child to take it, or that your or, like, I guess, weigh the pros and cons. See if your child can fight off that infection. Like, start thinking about, how long have they been dealing with this? Are they dealing with fevers? Is it something that their body can naturally overcome? Try not to just jump to it firsthand.
So, Dr. Jamie, I know one of the questions we get asked a lot in the office is, if my child is sick and they have to take an antibiotic, is there anything else they should be taking at the same time?
Yeah, I would always say, like, start looking at their diet. If they're eating foods, then you can introduce them to cultured foods that can help repair their microbiome. So think about like yogurt and sauerkraut and things that have that natural bacteria in it. Kombucha, if they will drink it. Just things that will help repair their gut. Moms can do it as well, just to help promote that healthy gut from mom to baby. When we start talking about like foods that damage our microbiome, it's sugar. So with taking all of the kinds of probiotics and things to help your gut, if you create a climate that your gut that grows bad bacteria, it'll really thrive on what we're doing. So you don't want to set up that environment that they love, what you want to try to do is get an environment that will be conducive to that microflora. So start limiting some of the sugar intakes, start paying attention to what sugar is in. As we mentioned earlier, it's laced in a lot of things. Just read the food label. I can tell you, you're going to be highly surprised.
Yeah, if anybody wants a list of all the names for sugar, reach out to us. We have a list. It's long, so we won't just send it, but it's like 2 pages of all the names they give different kinds of sugars and sweeteners and food. So if you don't see the word sugar, it doesn't mean it doesn't have it in there.
Yeah. Other things that can damage the microbiome, as I mentioned earlier, are going to be pesticides, different hormones. We've talked about food a little bit, but fast food, packaged food, looking at foods that have hydrogenated oils, artificial sweeteners. Certain formulas have been found to increase the intestinal permeability, which is leaky gut. Rice cereals introduced when enzymes are not available to our baby can break down and produce small amounts of salivary amylase in newborns. The production increases in the first few months, reaching adequate levels around 6 to 8 months. And so if you're giving that to your child sooner, the baby is not able to break down that. So you're just basically feeding them loads and loads of unnecessary sugar. So reach out to us. I know that this slide kind of went on a lot and we didn't give you anything to take notes with, but if you want specific notes on this, let us know. I'm going to let you guys see us again. Hang on one second. One of the biggest things that I want to educate you guys is to stop interfering. A lot of the times we feel like we need to get involved sooner. What I want you to be empowered by from this workshop is know that your body was designed to be perfect. Like it knows what it needs to do at any given moment, at any given time. And so we need to just trust our body's natural ability to heal and repair itself. Trust me, it's hard in the beginning, but it gets easier with each type of experience. So we love to give quizzes. So it's quiz time.
All right. Let's see if you guys are paying attention.
So is a fever good or bad, Stephanie?
I'm going to think it's good.
It's good. And so how is a fever good? A fever is good because it's part of your body's natural defense against infection-causing germs. So think about this. Whenever you get a fever, your body is trying to kill whatever foreign invader is invading your body, like a bacteria or a virus. The higher the body temperature gets, it helps the immune system respond faster to that invader. And so that the higher the body temperatures get, it makes it harder for that bacteria and viruses to thrive and survive in that environment. And so a lot of the times what we do is if a child or you get a fever, what do we want to do? We want to reduce the fever as quickly as possible. And I get it. You're feeling like garbage. You don't want to feel like that. Not really saying not to take it, but I am saying that the longer you can allow that fever to kind of go in the body, it does help the body overall, help fight off that invader.
And especially low-grade fevers. If it's, 99, 100, 101, yes, it can be discomfort, but you're not in any danger of something being worse. Like, again, as moms, as dads, as parents, we need to know when to interfere and when to let something run its course. And we just want to give you some options and educate you a bit. And like this next slide is perfect because it's going to tell you when you need to intervene and when to let it run its course.
Yeah. So how is a fever good? So if it's a low grade fever, meaning it's 99.1 to 100.4, that's going to be considered a low grade fever. A moderate grade would be 100.6 to 102.2. And then a higher grade fever is going to be your fever that's 102.4 to 105.8. Some studies have also shown when you give an antipyretic or a fever reducer, such as Tylenol, what it does overall is it suppresses the immune system. If you're giving your child Advil or ibuprofen or Tylenol, what it's doing is it's suppressing the immune system by affecting the glutathione levels. We know that your body needs glutathione for the immune system. So when you are taking that glutathione out of the body's natural defense process or properties, it's going to not allow your immune system to function the way that it was designed to. So when you, not to like say you can't ever give Tylenol or Advil, but what it does is it takes longer for the body to recover, because what you did is you took that fever that was making the body warm and preventing that virus or bacteria from growing. You actually kind of suppressed it or encourage that bacteria to continue to grow. And so again, like if you have questions about that, reach out to us. I have some pretty interesting podcasts and recordings that you can listen to that I think that will give you a better insight on that. Next question. So Stephanie, does sugar help or hurt the immune system?
Sugar's a hurt. Bad news.
So it hurts the immune system. And the way that it hurts the immune system is, let me see if you guys are able to see this full slide. Yep.
Yeah.
So high levels of sugar can harm the gut barrier function and drive bacteria imbalances. So what this does is it triggers a protective immune response called inflammation, and that inflammation can create damage over time. If you have high levels of inflammation, your immune system is working harder. And when this happens while your immune system is already weakened, it can make it more difficult to fight off infections. And so what I often tell parents is if a child isn't feeling well, like, we as parents are like, oh my God, they're not eating, they're not drinking, their bodies know what it needs to do. So encourage them to drink fluids, but don't give them high levels of sugar in the fluids. Like, don't give them the sugary drinks, because what you're doing is you're suppressing the immune system more. Try to limit some of their sugar intake as well. So think about like no donuts, like if you're giving them popsicles, try to make them more of like a healthier option, like a fruit-based, or give them a smoothie. You want to encourage them to eat, but you also want to make sure that you're helping support the immune system overall. Do you want to add anything, or
just that, again, like she mentioned before, our bodies are designed perfectly. They know what to do. Your immune system has a job, let it work. When it's time to intervene, like, you'll use your best judgment, but take a breath, take a beat, and just, see if it's going to run its course. Let's think about what we've learned a lot. We've all become medical professionals over the last 4 years. Viruses can run their course, and most of us do just fine. You build immunity when you let your body heal. You build your body when you let your immune system work. So give it an opportunity to do the thing it was designed to do. And then if it doesn't work, then reach out and then, see what kind of interventions might be necessary.
Right. All right. You guys get to see us in a minute here. I'm going to power through some of these slides here. So chiropractic, raising by design. I really thought this graphic was cool, so I put it in there. But the expression of intelligence through matter. So guys, our body was designed with everything that it needs. When there is an interference to the design, this is where we need to look back and to see where this disease process and this dysfunction begins. So when we go all the way back to pregnancy, the health of the mother's body begins to support that intelligent design or cause interference in that child's development. And so as a chiropractor, one of my favorite things to do is to adjust a pregnant mom. And if it's not the pregnant mom, it's that infant that is newborn. So the reason that I like to do that is I get to help that child start its development and its not healing journey, but I guess like just starting.
Yeah. Gives them the best possible chance at being healthy.
Yes.
From jump.
Correct. A lot of people always want to look at me and be like, well, why did you adjust a baby? They didn't have neck pain or back pain. But chiropractic is so much more than just neck pain or back pain. It's making sure that natural intelligence or that innate intelligence is there, functioning to its fullest potential. And so when we start looking at moms who are pregnant, we want to look at intrauterine constraint. And so, my job as a chiropractor is for a pregnant mom isn't to only relieve any discomfort in their lower back or neck that they may be feeling because they're growing a new baby, but it's also to establish pelvic balance and alignment, to help make sure that their body is prepared for that delivery process. And so when the pelvis is misaligned, it may reduce the amount of room available for that developing baby. And what we call that restriction in that pelvic girdle is called intrauterine constraint. And so, how intrauterine constraint affects that infant baby is that may make that environment that the baby is growing in difficult. And so think about the baby's position. We want it to be in not only in the best position possible for delivery, but it can also affect the mother's ability to have a natural and non-invasive birth. If the baby doesn't have enough room in the uterus or in that pelvic area, it can cause the baby to become breech, and posterior positions can interfere with the natural ease of labor. If the mom gets stuck in that sort of transition process, it can lead to a cesarean section because there wasn't enough room for that baby to transition down. And so we know that the nervous system is the master communicator for all of the body systems, including the reproductive system. So keeping the spine aligned helps the entire body work more effectively. So not only am I impacting mom throughout that pregnancy, but we're also helping that baby go through the transitions of development from conception to birth.
How many babies have we had recently in the office? Like
4 or 5. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I think we just saw our 5th brand new baby, less than a month old, and and 3 of the moms were under care through their entire pregnancies.
Oh, their entire pregnancy.
Their entire pregnancies. And so we have got to witness this from pregnancy to birth and beyond, which we'll get into more of that in a few minutes. But it's amazing to see this journey that these moms have taken. And now the babies are here and they're all healthy. And it's awesome. It's why we love what we do.
No, it is. Like, who loves a new squishy babies? Oh. What Stephanie likes to call them.
They're all our squishy babies. We love our squishy babies.
So when we talk about spinal development in kids, we know that there can be interference before the child actually gets earthside. So when we start talking about interference from birth trauma, it can come from a cesarean. If you've had a cesarean, guys, I'm not knocking anything. Like, we know that medical intervention is necessary, but what a a C-section delivery can do, or forceps or vacuum extraction, what it does is it places a lot of stress and tension on the nervous system. It affects how that body's ability to communicate and function overall. There can also be intervention or interference from a lack of movement. So think about what the child is doing their first, I don't know, at least 6 to 8 months if they're not able to move. Like, we're placing them in bumbo seats, we're placing them in baby carriers, we're laying them here, we're laying them there, and they're not getting that tummy time. So the reason that I put that baby up there on the screen is I want you to look at their development, like what's going on in that spine. So one of the first things that I noticed was the back of that baby's head. It is flat. And then as that child is sitting there, what you're seeing is you're noticing a C shape or a rounding of that curve. And then their legs are compensating. You see that sort of bent angle. And so, guys, babies need tummy time. This little guy here is about 11 months old. He should have a nicely rounded head. He should have developed S curves in his neck and lower back. His legs should be flexible. They should be able to move in and out with various sitting positions. But largely due to the lack of tummy time and overuse of those baby containers, again, like bumbo seats, swings, car seats, being kind of wedged in different containers that we wear on our bodies, going from the car to the grocery store to the restaurants, like that can create conditions such as plagiocephaly, which is a flat skull, or it can cause a C-shaped curve in his spine, preventing him from getting on his hands and knees to crawl. It affects his lips or his hips and his legs. They're so tight he can't straighten his knees. And so these are all of the outward problems that we can see that are visible, but think about the pressure and the tension on that baby's spine. The vision centers of the brain from laying on their backs can be detrimental to their overall development. So tummy time, tummy time, tummy time, like it's so important.
Just do it.
Just do it. Well, it's going to affect how that baby is not only going to develop in the first few years of life, but it's going to impact them overall. If they've got tight hip flexors, tight knees, that means that it's going to affect their balance. It's going to affect their coordination as they walk. And unfortunately, they don't grow out of these issues. They grow into other issues over time. And so I've already, wow, I should have just kept it going.
Yeah.
So again, like if you guys can see all of that, if you didn't hear everything that was listing, it's listed on this slide here. But, you know, we always look at the outward signs of problems and not looking at like what that's doing internally. Like if this guy's not crawling, that's affecting his cross crawl, like we're not affecting the different patterns that are developing. So
yeah. And you know, we don't see too many of these, but from time to time they do come in, and we know it's preventable. So our mission is just to educate, you know, our community so that people know there are other options out there.
Yep. So some of the warning signs that your child may have subluxation. So a subluxation in the spine is, or in the nervous system, is just creating an interference where the body's not able to connect with the body or with the nervous system and back to the brain. And so again, a lot of parents ask me, like, why do you adjust a baby? Well, some of the outward expressions that you may be seeing if an infant isn't functioning or has that subluxation would be the inability to latch, or they favor one side. So think about a breastfeeding mom. If their baby likes one side over the other, sometimes it's due to the mom, but a lot of the times it's due to the infant's inability to turn and rotate. It actually hurts for them to rotate to one side, so they favor the mom's other side. When we get a little bit older, we may be experiencing reflux, so they're spitting up all the time, they're constantly gassy, they have constipation, they're just ticked off at the world, they're crying all of the time, they have sleep issues, they're experiencing respiratory stress, and then chronic ear infections. And so these are some of the outward warning signs that you would see in an infant. And what my job and my mission is to try to prevent it as much as possible.
Give them their best chance at having their best life.
So it's time for another quiz. So just wanted to ask you guys, like, hopefully you guys are getting stuff out of this, but one of the next questions I want to ask you is, can the body adapt?
I'm going to say, yeah, it can.
The answer is yes. So it's all about the nervous system and the body's ability to combat the daily physical, chemical, and emotional stresses that are placed on it. So yes, your body can adapt. And what it's going to do is it's going to start by starting healthy habits early.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we like to teach is to minimize those toxins. I know we went over it a little bit earlier today, but talking about the chemical things that you are experiencing day to day, whether it's from lotion, whether it's from laundry detergent, whether it's from the food that we eat. Unfortunately, we can't control all environmental factors. So what I want to encourage you to do is to control the ones that you can, which would be the things that you're purchasing, and at least educate yourself on healthier options. One of the websites that I like to refer to is called ewg.org. You can put in different products into that website. They can grade it on a scale, let you know where you're at. And when Blake and I started this process years ago, it was like, oh my God, all we're doing is doing toxic things to our body. And no, I didn't throw all of those things away. What I did is each time that product ran out, I just replaced it with something healthier by going to that website. So you guys can do these things as well. There's a lot of things that you can make at home with using vinegar and alcohol and water and essential oils and
salt.
And salt. Like lots of like easy things that don't cost as much as you would spend
Right. They're
normal
cheaper,
chemicals.
they're safer, and especially if you have pets along with your kiddos, they're just better for the environment, they're better for your family, they're better for you.
Yeah. So let's get back here. So we're doing a lot of destruction through toxicity. I'm going to run through this really quickly. If you guys want this slide, I'll give it to you. But we know that 4 billion prescription drugs are ingested in the United States each year. Over 70,000 chemicals are used commercially. 3,000 chemicals are added to our food supply. 10,000 chemicals are used in food processing, preserving, and storage. The EPA estimates that our homes are now 5 to 10 times more toxic than our outdoor air. This comes from paints. This comes from chemicals that we're using. This comes from carpet. Like, it just comes from things inside our home. Brominated flame retardant chemicals, which were banned in 2004, have now been found in the bodies of newborn babies in the U.S. So when we start talking about things that you're doing now and how it's impacting future generation, this would be one of those answers or examples.
And again, we're talking about 1% level ups. You're not going to do a pantry purge. You don't have to sell your house and buy a new one.
Well, it'd be worse.
Yeah. Just start thinking about what's in your home and little ways that you can start to remove those toxins. Something as simple as taking your shoes off outside and not wearing them in the house just stops you from tracking things that were outside, bringing them in, especially if you've got kiddos that are crawling and they're on the floor. Like, little things like that make such a big impact.
So we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition. We're not going to do a deep dive into this. We can in the future. But if you want to look at what your child is eating, one of the biggest things to do is look at their lunchbox. So one of the things that I encourage is not to pack processed foods. A processed food would be cookies or chips or Lunchables or little Debbie's desserts. Not that those things don't taste great, but they don't give our body sustenance in the future. Fruit drinks, just anything that's highly sugary.
Yeah, and processed, ultra processed
for sure. What things that you can produce in the lunch. So I guys want you to look at like what not to pack and what to pack. So they're similar. They're not the same. So you can still pack a bento box, make your child a Lunchable, if you will. Make them a wrap, make them a sandwich, like make them something that they'll eat. But what you want to focus on is protein. You want to make sure that you're using organic chicken if you can. If your child likes finger foods, cutting up cheeses into cubes for easy eating, giving them things like grapes and cucumbers and strawberries, like things that they can just sort of munch on. Hummus if they'll eat it, raw cheese, seeds if they like it. If you're packing carbs, veggies are a great source of carbohydrates. They're very filling. They're high in fiber. They can dip them into hummus. They can find healthy dipping sauces. Again, berries, apple slices. Why do I keep doing that? I want you to see the other slide, apparently. Berries, apple slices, pickles, coconut wraps, cutting fruits and veggies into smaller pieces. They're more likely to eat them. Shoot, think about it. If you put a charcuterie board in front of you, you're going to graze on that thing all day. Like, encourage them to want to make it too. Like, encourage them to go shopping with you. Give them ideas of things that they
when the kids are part of it, I think they really get excited about it. And so if they know what they're getting in their lunch, like think about how excited they were to pick out a Lunchable. Well, what if you're like, hey, why don't we make homemade Lunchables? Turn it fun, make it fun. Let them be the ones to pick out what they like. And then, it's whatever you call it, but that you're getting your kids to eat more fruits and vegetables, those better proteins, those better carbohydrates.
Right.
And they're in better moods because of it.
Yes. So looking at good fat, so you can slice olives, you can do hard-boiled eggs, you could do sprouted seeds, avocado to help give them long-term energy. When you're feeding them sugar, like let's say that they're eating high levels of sugar before they go to school, they start to crash around that 10 a.m. mark. They have lunch, and so then if you feed them a lot of processed foods, then they have that sugar rush again, and then by the time you're picking them up, they're crabby. They don't want to be here. They've had a bad day at school. We also want to make sure that your child is drinking lots of water. So we know that 70% of your body should be or is made up of water. So we want to make sure that we encourage that water. I think it's actually 80 to 90% of your body's water. So, but you want to at least have more water in your child. That'll also help sustain them for longer periods of time. They won't feel as hungry because a lot of the times our body is signaling us that we're dehydrated and we think that we're hungry, and it's not. We just need more fluids.
Fun fact, if you've been in the office, you've seen the video that Maria and I did, that 75% of the people walking around are dehydrated. That includes our kids. And if they're going outside and having any recess time, it's hot.
It's Florida.
It's Florida. So they're sweating and they're losing so much of that precious hydration. So, giving them sugary drinks really is not helping them. It is not making them less thirsty. It is making them more toxic.
So tips before you shop. One of the things that we do is on Saturdays or Sundays, we sit down as a family. There are 4 of us. So 4 of us we each get to pick our own meal, but you want to plan. So plan your meals ahead of time, because what we do know, especially in our household, if there's a late night and we didn't have dinner planned, we're scrambling to get something made. So plan and save. You also want to add more fruits and vegetables to your meal plan. Try to get rid of some of the processed foods. You can add beans and lentils for that extra protein. Skip the processed foods and don't shop hungry, because Lord knows if you send me to the grocery store hungry, we're going to have 10,000 things we didn't need.
I always know when Freddie goes grocery shopping hungry, because he tends to come home with snacks.
There's nothing wrong with that, right?
No, they're not always the best snacks, but...
So tips at home: cook and freeze. So if you go to the store and you find that they have good sales on different items, you can cook it up ahead of time. So meal prep it, freeze it. These are pictures of my tower garden from this last spring. I like to grow different lettuces. I mean, I play. So I grow lots of different things and see what grows. But I can tell you, there's something amazing about going out to that tower garden and just picking your own food.
I love
it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I grew up, my mom always had a big vegetable garden. And I mean, I remember sitting in the garden getting in trouble for eating all of our tomatoes.
I see nothing wrong with this.
I didn't either. They're delicious.
Tips that you can do at the store. So stock up to save money. One of the biggest things that I love to teach people is to shop the perimeter of the store. And the reason that I teach you this is on the perimeter of the store, that's everything that you need to sustain life. Yep. Once you start going down those aisles, that's where the danger begins. What you can also do is to shop bargains on fresh fruits and vegetables, as mentioned earlier. If it's in season, cook up a bunch of stuff, freeze it, can it, save it for later. Mm-hmm. Compare your labels too. A lot of people don't know what's in their foods. I can give you some resources on what you should and shouldn't be eating conventional. Again, go to the website EWG. They'll have the Clean 15 and Dirty Dozen. They'll show you what products that you must eat organic if you're going to eat it, and things that are okay to have conventional. Look for deals at your local farmers markets. We don't have a lot in the Daytona Beach area, but we do have a few amazing resources here at farmers markets.
And crowdsource, ask us, reach out to your mom's groups. I mean, there are tons of resources out there. So know that, with everything at your fingertips, all you've got to do is start looking. I promise, if you ask somebody on social media, hey, what farmer's market do you like? You're going to get answers. Mm-hmm. You're going to find them. They might be well-hidden gems.
Yeah, there's a few that we love to go to. So I can give you those resources as well. So we're almost finished here, but one of the things that I want to do is I want to challenge you. So if you're not a client here in the office and you're encouraged or intrigued to see what we do, schedule an appointment with us. We would love to encourage you and your family to live a healthier lifestyle. And one of the ways that we do this is by checking your nervous system. We want to empower your body to function to its fullest potential. We have a great great software here that we use in our office called the Insight Scan. We can actually detect how your nervous system is functioning at any given moment.
Yeah. It's really awesome when patients come in and see these scans. I can tell you if you're stuck in fight or flight. I can tell you if your body is dealing with subluxations and interference. And we can show you how to become healthier with those tiny little level ups.
So another challenge that you can do is to keep moving. You know, we often live a sedentary lifestyle, and we didn't go into that during this, and that's for future future presentations.
Yes.
But moving, if you think of us in general, like we sit at computers, we're sitting in the car, we're sitting at home, or watching TV. So just do something as a family. You can work out, you can go walk, just get up and move. If you're someone that does have a desk job, get up at least once an hour, go walk around. You don't have to do like 10 million jumping jacks, but get that circulation going. Helping your just overall brain and mental health. Do daily affirmations. You guys are beautiful. You guys are wonderful. Just keep encouraging yourself. We know that the day to day is hard, so just keep being positive. You can also help yourself by doing better nutrition. Don't feel like you have to take every one of these slides, as Stephanie mentioned with the level ups.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I've got to change my entire life through these 43 slides. Like, no, that's not it. What we want to do is encourage you just to pick one thing. And so if you're looking at one of these things and you choose to do nutrition, change your meats. Start doing grass fed, do free range, do that first, or choose to have organic fruits and vegetables. It doesn't have to be both. You can add those in later as you get comfortable with it. If you want supplementation, I can give you supplements that we recommend here in the office. If you go to our website, to the shop button, we have a link to Designs for Health. They have some great resources for families in general. If you want things that are more kid specific, reach out. I can help you with that. The other thing is no screen time. And so you want to do this at least 1 hour before bed. The reason that I challenge you to do this is it'll help you sleep better. It'll help prevent your body from, or your mind from, racing before going to bed. And it'll actually encourage the melatonin to start producing so you can fall asleep.
Yes, that's one of my favorite tips when people struggle with sleep, is I really encourage them to utilize that bedtime mode on your phone. Like, create a bedtime, and mine set for 9:15. So mine at 9:15 reminds me, hey, you promised yourself you weren't going to be on your phone before bed. So it makes it it doesn't eliminate it, but it's just a nice nudge to be like, okay, now it's time to put my phone down and allow the body to prepare for sleep, because your body cannot function if it is exhausted and starving and subluxated.
Yes. Thanks, Stephanie. Way to end the PowerPoint here. Guys, I do want to encourage you. So we have a workshop coming up. The other challenge is to get connected with our office. So we are planning to do workshops every 6 to 8 weeks, whether it's an in-person workshop or a webinar. I do have a workshop coming up at the end of September. I have partnered with Sunnyside Pediatrics in New Smyrna Beach, and I will be hosting this workshop at their location. It is called Birth and Beyond. And so while you may not be pregnant, but if you're thinking about becoming pregnant, or if you want to have more children, what you're going to learn at this event is to help your nervous system through that pregnancy and through that birthing process and after. So not only will you get a chance to meet me in person, but you'll have an opportunity to ask me lots of questions. I am meeting with local birthing providers now and trying to get them at the talk as well. That way you have another connection. So if you want to scan that QR code on the screen, that'll give you a direct link to that workshop landing page, and then you'll get constant reminders about the upcoming events. If you aren't a patient and you'd like more information, shoot us an email or a text message. Our email is info@newjourneychiropractic.com. You can give us a call. Our phone number is 386-236-8085. You can also send us a text. It's a two-way texting. So if we're in the office, we will respond. If we're not in the office, we'll get back with you at our earliest convenience. But really what we want to encourage you is just to get connected in our office, be a part of who we are.
Yeah. We're here to answer questions. We want you to have a happy, healthy family. And that's just our mission in life, is to reach out, connect with our community, and be a resource for everyone.
So I hope you guys learned a lot. I didn't think that we could make it go an hour. Yes, I did. But I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for watching. Yeah. So if you are interested, or if you would like to connect with us, please let us know. We are here for you. Share this link with other people as well. Yes. Get us connected. We love our community. So thank you again, guys. And we hope you have a beautiful Saturday.
Enjoy your day.
Bye.